are picking and experimenting with.
Yeah, I noticed when I was looking at just some of the changes that stood out to me immediately. The Oracle change with his talents, and of course, Kunkka. Axe got some buffs, which is funny because, Oracle and Axe kind of interact with each other very specifically. But I'm wondering just, how much are we going to see, a little bit of a shift as this patch goes on? Because a lot of the teams I find they kind of take their time, they kind of stick with what they know and
They
gradually
do.
start to shift.
That's
So,
yeah. That's fair. And I think that goes to show that often in Dota, comfort kind of trumps what is overpowered.
mhm.
Like for example, this Beastmaster base damage reduced by 4. That's big. That's always been one of his kind of when you're talking about Beastmaster's laning, it's all about his early game stats. You have the board, you have high armor, you have high HP, good move speed, good base damage, and now that's gone. So and yet, like, teams are still going to be picking this hero. It's a staple. Like, the Hawk no longer blocks camps. You'd think that's a huge nerf. Everybody continues picking the hero. And like you said, I really do think it will eventually change. People are just picking comfort. But, sometimes it's better to be comfortable than it is to be playing some new meta broken hero. However, there has been enough time since some of the earlier letter patches that people have been practicing some new interesting stuff. So I'm hoping we'll see something cool and fun and new.
I mean, also, we've seen some really interesting position fours coming out of this particular, well, not this patch specific letter, but, with the Weaver, with the Ember, things like that. So it's definitely opening up a lot of opportunities. A lot of people, though, like you said, are just testing it out and they don't necessarily want to bring it into their professional match just yet. But a lot of
Yep.
these bans pretty similar to what we've been seeing. Mars has been seeing a lot of play. This particular region, the Shadow Demon too has been like one of the highest picked supports, I think, recently.
Yeah, it's the third most picked band in this particular tournament so far.
Hmm.
So a bit surprising because in the most recent patch, I think they actually nerfed him. So what they did is they took away his talent, his 10 talent, where Soul Catcher creates an illusion on death, and they replaced that with 12 int. So it's interesting because you'd think that's a nerf, but it's one of those things where possibly the hero was just very strong based on a lot of other things before, and people just weren't picking it yet because they hadn't experimented with it. Maybe the meta didn't work for it. Who knows? But yeah, ST does look pretty good, pretty damn good. And Grimstroke, of course. This is a classic. This
This has
hero
been a
definitely has not been
staple,
nerfed
it
enough.
seems,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. Yep. A
Just
lot
throwing
of
on
the
the Inkswell and all that.
yeah, he's just you can combo with him with so many different heroes in Dota. And speaking of combos, I imagine Ember Spirit.
Hmm.
Yeah, okay, the classic Keeper Ember Spirit. You put the Chakra Magic on the Ember Spirit in laning phase in the game. He gets basically just no cooldown Sleight of Fist, no cooldown on his Searing Chains. It's very annoying. I laned against this in a pub yesterday, and the Ember went Blightstone first
Oh,
and just sleight of fisted off cooldown. It was very, very annoying. It does more damage during the laning phase. But you don't have to. We talked about it. Ember Spirit can also be played in a 4 position. It's really not bad. It's quite good. So you have options with
yeah,
this pick.
you have the flexibility. I'm really surprised. Like in other regions, the Ember usually gets banned fairly quickly. But in this case, it seems that CDEC has higher priorities. They don't want to see, some of these tankier offlaners. They're afraid of Yang, clearly, with some
They
of these
really
picks.
are.
I don't
Wow.
blame him.
Look at
Yang
that.
is a very powerful player.
Yeah, that's some respect. Good
Hmm.
lord. You don't see a Centaur ban too often.
No, you
But
don't.
DK is one of the more banned heroes this tournament. Actually, Ember Spirit has been picked or banned in 100% of games. Timbersaw has been banned in literally every game in this tournament so far.
Yeah.
Every single game, Timbersaw has been banned. And I imagine it's probably been first phase banned because, of course, there's 4 bans in the first phase. But
Mhm.
Ember has been pick banned in every single one. So sometimes it does get through, but when it gets through, it gets picked up. And, of course, the response to Ember and Keeper is naturally going to be Nyx Assassin. Nyx is the classic counter to Keeper of the Light because it's very easy to carapace and then kill him on the back lines, and you can carapace the Ember just as easily. So it's a great disable for both of these heroes. And then the Tusk, a classic.
So does that automatically? Now, I know that I know that EG was running Tusk as a position 3, but I'm not sure if that was just because it was more of a Bulba specialty. Is this a situation where the Ember is automatically shifted over into that mid lane now that they have the Tusk, or do you think that they'll play a little bit with the flexibility right now on Vici Gaming?
I'm definitely leaning towards the Caudal Ember lane being so strong that you probably just run the Ember as a carry
Okay.
almost no matter what, especially with the Tusk pick coming out. I think that, let's see, who has last pick? So Vici has last pick. It's more likely than not that they last pick some mid laner, just because if you can, that's something that you want to abuse, because you're giving the enemy team 2 response picks if you have last pick in both of your first and second phase picks. So definitely you want to abuse that last pick by getting like a mid laner. You could also get a carry, but usually it's the mid laner. And this Caudal Ember lane, there are very few things that can contest this lane, especially with a Nyx Assassin. I really think there's not much that you can put with it. Nyx is not a particularly strong laner.
No.
He gets boots or a headdress and stands there or cuts the creep wave or does some shenanigans like that. And then you kind of play for like the late laning stage in the mid game with this hero, because I mean, what are you going to do at level? You're going to walk up and stun somebody for like 1.2 seconds and do no damage and be a useless melee hero. It's just the life of a Nyx Assassin.
So what do you think? At this point, we're seeing a lot of these offlaners. Okay, I was about to ask. I was going to say, what's the offlane pick then for CDEC? Because you're missing so many offlane choices. They go for the Omni Knight, and I know in the past you've not been impressed with this particular hero pickup.
Not a huge fan, although I do have to say that its win rate in pro level pubs currently is 57%. With that being said, it's only 71 picks out of about 7,000 matches, so not a huge sample size to look at. However, this does say to me that possibly some people are experimenting with it, and maybe there's some sort of build people are doing. I know he did just get changed in 7.26. Let's see. Control F-ing here. It's showing me the Omni Slash. Okay, so he has a 20 move speed talent at level 10 now, which I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but this hero's level 10 talents were complete garbage before. So just the fact that he gets a level 10 talent that's actually good, and a lot of the other move speed talents too have been moved to like 15, level 20 now. So he's one of the few heroes that has a move speed talent. As a hero who does like to build into like phase drums, the very least phase boots, and likes to use that movement speed to position. So it's not bad, and it's quite good against the Ember Spirit. Like this Ember Caudal lane works so well because all of the meta offlaners don't do very well against it. But this isn't really a meta offlaner, so maybe this is just a pick that doesn't really care that much about the Caudal Ember. I'm interested to see what they do with this Omni. I think that's a solid pickup.
Definitely interesting. Yeah, it's a paparazzi morphling, I have a feeling, or Eurus morphling.
Good pick, solid pick. Not not much here in the way of instant disable for the morph. Nyx not particularly great. You have to stun him before hitting him with the ult. You can't get your Vendetta off, unfortunately. Grimstroke, the little bug, silence bug, takes a while to hit onto you as a morphling, so it's very easy to get off your stat morph. As well as maybe this is going to be a morphling in the safe lane. Now, you can lane a morph against Omni, and I think you will be perfectly fine. It's hard to pressure a morph as Omni once you get those first few levels. And I know I was talking about how good the Caudal Ember lane is, but with the Omni pick coming out, maybe you change that up just because, okay, here's CDEC's response to the Ember Caudal. Why give them that? Why not just lane the morph into that and throw the Ember mid where he'll be perfectly fine. So it'll be interesting to see what Vici does with their lanes here.
Yeah, typically I believe it is Eurus who plays the Morphling, and they might just switch, put Ori on that Ember Spirit in the mid, but still have some flexibility, obviously. The Slark pickup, though, is kind of interesting because if I recall, it was a big patch to remember all the little details, which is why I have you, Jenkins, but I feel like Slark's got some pretty nice buffs, didn't he, in the most recent patch?
He got some talent changes. So he's
Hmm.
one of the heroes who got kind of reverted back to the old talents when they did like that 80% sweeping nerf to everybody.
Hmm.
So they did, yeah, they did give him some buffs to his talents, as well as it's just a great hero to pick
Oh God.
with the Omni Knight. Like you just buff him up, and okay, Venomancer. This is interesting. So I would wager that depending on who picks the Ember, CDEC is going to possibly run Slark mid against the Ember because
Okay.
that's a very good matchup for Slark, and then throw Venomancer in the safe lane where he can pick up an early Spirit Vessel and then use that vessel, of course, against the Morphling. And remember, that HP regen reduction that comes from the Venomancer ability, the passive, stacks additively with the Spirit Vessel, which
Oh.
means that basically you can put people to nearly 100% regen reduction. You can't go over 100 now. It caps out at 100, which is great. I don't know why that worked in the first place. That you could give people negative regen. That was a big nerf to Alchemist, but you can get them up to 100%. So Venomancer is in a very good spot. I think this is one of the low-key broken heroes right now with that new vessel. Okay, now
Oh
you cannot
man.
run the Slark mid.
Nope. No, you
uh,
can't.
Offlane Ember, offlane Tusk, maybe. Yeah, looks like
All
it's
right.
it's. I mean, I would. I'm confused. Which one is going to be the offlane? Which one's going to be the four? Tusk or Ember? I feel like
Okay, so PYW is
okay,
going to be
it's
the
a
four.
Yang Tusk.
All
Wow,
right. He's also on fire. That
that's
doesn't
cool.
that doesn't look healthy.
So wait, which one is Ember Spear? They're both on fire.
Yeah, right? Valve, please,
WTF?
my glance value.
Oh my.
Um, yeah, considering that, Tusk is a polar bear walrus, that doesn't seem very good for him. But yeah, no, it's gonna be that three tusks, so saying something a little bit different, but I mean that's the beauty of this particular patch is the fact that you can have, these flex picks and in the past you'd be like, oh, did they get kind of, drafted into a corner? But in this case I would say, it works perfectly fine. What's really interesting is like Kips and I were talking yesterday about Venomancer too, and she was saying like whenever she sees like a mid Venom, she feels like it wins its laning stage, but then it just doesn't do much. But the couple things that you said, especially paired with the Spirit Vessel, does seem relatively good. Do you think this is going to be a more active Venomancer? Or?
I want to say yes, but this is from the games that I've watched. This region does look to be a bit farm heavy,
Mm,
as well as the fact that I think both of these teams have lineups that they're pretty okay with going late game on.
mm,
Although I say that, and Vici, I would much prefer to go late game if I'm Vici because
right.
this OD pick. Look at the cores of CDEC: Veno, Slark, Omni Knight. None of these are int cores. All of these cores are going to get obliterated by the OD. And the Nyx is not as much of a counter to the OD as it was before because you're getting mana on OD, not int. So this mana burn does not scale with the OD stealing mana anymore.
Mm,
It used to, if OD had like a bunch of charges of his arcane orb, that you could mana burn him for like 2,000 damage. And now, I mean, it's still good. Don't get me wrong, because if the OD imprisons you, for some godforsaken reason, you can press Carapace and it will stun him 100% of the time. If he imprisons you on Nyx, which to me doesn't make that
really?
much sense. So,
You should be
yeah,
able to
so
do that.
it doesn't feel like it makes that much sense. It's the same thing with Invoker Tornado. When he tornadoes you, you can Carapace it. Yules, you can Carapace Yules if you just spam it. It's like, it feels like something that should be frame perfect and you really have to spam it, but it's very easy to do
Mhm.
100% of the time. So it's a double edged sword these
Right.
days. It's not as bad as it used to be, but it's still pretty bad. But this OD, oh god, these other heroes just get shredded by OD on the side of CDEC. I don't think they were expecting a mid pick to come last there.
Definitely feels like one of those Yu-Gi-Oh moments of you just activated my trap card, basically.
100%. That's a blue eyes white dragon right there. There's some shit Exodia. I don't know. Dark magician girl.
Alright, calm down there, Jenkins.
I don't know
wouldn't have
Yu-Gi-Oh,
opened up
dude.
this box if I had known what would come out of it.
What are the powerful cards in that game? I have no idea.
I don't know, I'm sure Neff would know.
Charizard.
Nope, that's the wrong thing.
Of course Neff would know. Are you kidding me?
Of course, yeah.
course he
I'm
would
pretty
know.
sure he has a Yu-Gi-Oh shirt. But, he's gonna be able to secure up these runes. Nothing too special or out of the ordinary here. So, pretty calm. And, yeah, they're just... I guess they're just gonna try to mess around a little bit, because DY's still down here. Obviously, he's... Do you keep him
Body
down
blocking
here?
the wave?
No, you can't, right?
I'm not. I mean, maybe what they're doing is they're doing that like sick dank strat of giving your morph a solo lane until he gets early levels, where you basically like this is what old Liquid Nigma. This is what they do, where they just ditch the morph and kind of. Okay, he's gonna die. He's definitely dead.
Yep. I don't think
Eurus,
you can do this. Poor Eurus. One more hit.
Yeah.
And SRF gets the first blood.
Okay, so already pretty cool play from both teams. Like, I think it's a cool strat to leave your morph solo for the first wave, because the first wave is pretty safe. But then CDEC, they anticipate this, and they kill him, because level 1 morph, that's probably the worst spell in the game. Or attribute shift, as it's called now. It legitimately is the worst spell in Dota at level 1. It is complete garbage. So it's really easy to kill this hero at level 1 to 3. This is exactly when you need to punish him.
Interesting that they sent PYW up top to try to just make some space here for Eurus. I guess when both of the heroes, though, that are against him are melee, it doesn't really matter. And obviously you want your Coddle and your Tusk to be together in this bottom lane.
I think Coddle in the bot lane makes sense, because if you put Ember plus Tusk against the Slark, it's just 2 melee heroes versus Slark. He's going to destroy. So at least if you have the Coddle here, you have a ranged hero to sit and just bully the Slark. And I don't think the Coddle is needed top. Like you said, Ember against 2 melee heroes will do perfectly fine. So Vici just kind of optimizing their lanes. Even though it's a kind of slight optimization, it's still, you know, a form of optimization. Ooh, Eurus.
Yeah, they're still trying to make moves on. Does have the waveform, though. PYW nearby. Might be able to turn this around, actually. They've already used that.
He got the UV on him. But they're not gonna go for him.
Just force him to use up some of that regen. So he'll call a stick out to himself. Let's check in with the middle lane here. This is probably not a fun lane to have to deal with if you are Ori right now.
Yeah, he's on the Venomancer. He's maxing his Gale and Poisonous Sting, which is an annoying build. I imagine he might get some levels in Plague Wards. He might do the old 1-2-2 build, which I don't think OD's particularly great at dealing with those Plague Wards. He doesn't hit very hard.
Ooh, Slark? Slark's so low in the bottom lane.
He gets sniped.
Illuminate came out from DY. They'll find themselves a kill. Is Young gonna die for this? No. It looked like he was thinking about going underneath that tower after Toria here.
Just kind of bodying a little bit, making it harder for him to last hit. But you don't usually see a Coddle leveling the Illuminate and getting kills with it, but I'm glad to see it. I mean, this is the old classic build on Coddle. And
gotta be careful, though.
I love what he's doing. He's just taking the easy camp so that way Grimstroke can't pull.
Perhaps that's one of the reasons why he also opted to go for that Illuminate. We'll switch over the outpost over here. Nothing too crazy.
God, this is a huge wave pushing in on both sides in this bot lane. Mid lane. Ori.
Yep, he makes a rotation. XM actually might have buttoned off more than he can chew. Another hit should do the trick. Does he have it?
Nice
no,
body
he
blocks.
doesn't. Nice body blocks coming out from James, as XM will be able to just wait out that Orb of Venom and use a health salve. But while this goes on, we're gonna lose the Grimstroke over down here.
Slark
And they're still going after DY.
Yeah. Not much he can do. Neither of these 2 bot laners have an Orb of Venom on Slark or the Tusk, so not as much kill threat coming out here. It's really the supports that have the kill threat in the bot lane. Although I say
Trying
that,
to turn this
Slark
around.
has
Nice
gotta be
blinding light,
careful.
bounces him right back. Again, Grimstroke gonna try to slow them down. They've just got all these clicks here. Yang's so speedy, very fast. Is forced to have the Slark pounce away, and he's gonna make it out with very little. Almost coming out here
close.
from DY.
What a dodge,
Ame won't
though.
fall for that trick again.
Yeah, I love the quelling blade to the side there. That was not expected at all
He's
by
got
our
his
boy on the
dancing
caudal.
shoes on. You know?
Yeah, that was cool. Yang does get the salve cancel though, so Slark is stuck in the trees now.
He's regened a little bit though. I think he'll be alright. Although they'll turn right back around again. The pounce comes out.
Ooh, the Centaur Stomp! My
Shards?
God.
Are they going to be able to get this? He's trying to Dark Pact. Oh, he's not going to be able to. Yang might go down here if he's not careful. Looks like he's going to be able to shift off that aggro.
He's got 2 bracers. He's so tanky. Like, it looks like... Okay, mid lane. Alright, OD is dead. James is being very active towards this OD.
I think that's exactly what they need to do, though, too, right? Because OD is one of those heroes that, you know, if you leave him to farm, he's just going to become too much of a menace. So,
yeah, he's super
having these
punishable,
ganks,
too.
especially after XM dying earlier on.
And XM is going for Max Gale and Poison Sting, too.
Yang, nice shards. Actually, buy him a little bit more time to ink swell. He manages to just kind of dodge out of the way using the snowball. And he'll walk off.
Let's see, what's the bounty rune situation? How many did we get? Vici got 3, it looks like. So, looking pretty solid for Vici, although the net worth is relatively even here. Omni's actually topping the CS charts for his team.
Subtle burn.
He's fairly neck and neck with the Venomancer, but Eurus is definitely having a great time up here. Seems like they've been able to alleviate some of the pressure. Like we said, Nyx Assassin not the best at laning, but we do have movement over here in the middle lane. PYW waiting patiently. Has that Invis rune.
You know?
I like that courier. That is a very cute courier that we just saw too.
It's a little hard to gank for an OD like this, you know? So he looks like he's just kind of just chilling, just scouting.
They know though, like this is the nice thing about PYW getting that that Invis. James going maybe just a little bit too far. Or he says, I don't want to have to deal with this. They'll turn back around though. They have the Poison Nova. They'll turn around, buy a little bit more time here for his support. PYW. Can he get there? He's just a little too slow. He needs to be very careful. Still keeping sight on him. Gets the slide off. Needs maybe 1 or 2 more hits, but he's not going to be able to find it. As they will end up losing PYW. And now Ori, he's ticking down. It is
just the Venom.
Not fatal though.
Yeah, just the Venom ult was on him, but interesting build from XM here on the mid lane, going for the 2-3-1 build and actually going for the Poison Nova. Not something that you see on Venomancer too often, at least in the previous patches where he was getting picked up. It was all about those wards, but I like this. I mean, Ori in the mid lane, actually, I think he's dead.
Yeah, because James just TP's right back in again, tries to buy a little bit more time. In comes PYW. Look at James, he still wants it so badly, and he'll be able to collect a kill.
Nice little setup there from the OD for the old Nyx Assassin to hit that stun. Made it real easy. I like that James was kind of baiting the OD imprisonment. He didn't just walk in and use the stun. He's like, all right, I know you're going to imprison the moment I drop this stun, so I'm going to make you set me up for this.
I like how James just doesn't care about PYW at all. Like, look at this guy. Big cojones on this guy, man. He just walks right up, starts getting slammed away. He knows that he can get the kill on Ori. He knows that, you know, he'll take a little damage from PYW, but not enough to scare him away from getting a potential kill. Bottom lane, though, they're going to be making moves on Slark as they bounce him back. Does have to force out that Shadow Dance here. As James also making rotation. Beautiful stun as well. Looks like DY probably going to take... Yeah, he's going to fall, but are they going to be able to collect a kill on the Slark? Yes, they are. You are 100% happy about that if you are Keeper of the Light. And look who's shown up here. UIW in the vicinity will make the rest of CDEC just back off.
Yeah, Yang with the basically solo kill there onto the Slark. Like, he was... Slark was fine. He just walked back in kind of expecting that since he had 2 heroes to back him up, he was going to be safe. But Yang, I got to say, mechanically, on this Tusk, Yang is playing extremely well. Like, he's playing really well around his cooldowns. He's holding his snowball until the very last second to get the Slark after the pounce and so forth.
This is looking like a very dead Grimstroke, although the shards don't quite connect, but now DUI says, hey guys, I've got a Slark on me, can we please stop him? Walrus Punch comes out. He may actually just die for going after the... Yeah.
Oh my god.
He dies chasing after DUI. That is not what you want to see on your Slark, especially when he's having as rough of a game as he has already.
Shards?
James now trying to make some space here. He's going to get chased by Young and PYW. He uses that Spike Carapace, but PYW holding that slight just until it's over. He'll be able to go and also collect another kill. This bottom lane is an absolute disaster for the side of CDEC.
Yeah, this is rough. I mean, the silver lining is that OD's having a really rough time, and this hero's not the greatest at coming back. As you know, it used to be a lot better when you had the AoE Arcane Orb. You could just go farm up the jungle, but nowadays, like, you want a lane to farm in. He's even gone for Tranquil Boots, for God's sakes, because of the Venomancer spells. So it's looking pretty rough for Ori. But
it's not something we normally see on the OD.
No, not usually. But Yang is huge. I think he can do a lot of carrying in this game.
Well, I mean, it's very worrisome for CDEC right now because, you know, yes, the Omni is doing pretty decently in the top lane against the Morphling, but Morphling also has had just an easy lane. You've got Yang, who's just becoming massive here in the bottom lane. I don't think a Venomancer can carry everybody on his back, and the Omni, like, not the same way that we're seeing for the side of Vici Gaming right now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see how strong this new Venomancer Vessel build is. Maybe it's so sick that he can. You know, you never know.
Yeah.
We'll see, but yeah, it's looking really good from Yang right now. He's getting the bot tower. Mid tower is getting siege though from CDEC. It's very hard to play into this Venomancer, although I say that, Morphling is heading mid. They dropped the ult.
Gets dropped over here, and you can see the Morphling also making his own rotation. They've got their eyes over on James here on the side, but they're split up right now. Eurus turning himself into his own Venomancer. The snowball is going to be used over here, and they'll take down the Grimstroke. Looks like James should be able to get out, although they managed to land a really nice shard. He pops the Spike Carapace perhaps a little bit too early, as the rest of the side of Vici Gaming just go in for the kill, giving a double kill over here to Young. They know that XM's over in the corner, but I don't think they're going to go for a really hard committal dive on him. Not after that fight.
Eurus gets a deny on the mid tower too, so lots of gold there. Denied from CDEC. Pretty nice, because this Venomancer, you know, you would expect that this hero can pretty freely take a tower at this point in the game, but nope, not when Eurus shows up. And Yang is actually smoked up here with DY. They're wrapping around on the Venomancer.
I don't even think they need to wrap around. I think they could have just run at it, but they'll go right in there. They'll follow up with the ultimate, but there's nothing to really follow up. Does have a couple of these Plague Wards, but they're not going to do enough here. So that is the ultimate down on the Venomancer. And this is, I think, kind of what Kips was talking about too, is like, you see these Venomancers, they can win their lane, but then if the rest of the lanes are struggling, like they are on the side of CDEC right now, how much can he actually do?
I mean, it's true, because the way that you play this hero is you basically just get huge from a lane, like you said, and then you kind of cancer up an area of the map. You just go somewhere and say, hey, nobody else can go here. But when you're the only lane that's doing well, you can't really go somewhere and say nobody else can go there. So what if the entire enemy team runs at you? Normally not worth it, but hey, guess what? If you're the only person that's owning on your team, it is worth it. It's certainly worth it. And it's kind of neutered him to some degree. Like, we can see here that now the Tusk and the Morphling are ahead of the Venomancer by at least 500 gold each.
And the other thing, I guess, that's difficult is the fact that we have not seen Omni Knight doing much of anything over on the side of CDEC, and there's not much that he can do, right? It's not even like, you know, we're criticizing SRF, it's just he's an Omni Knight. Oh, okay.
It's the Omni classic. The whole win the lane and then do nothing.
Yeah.
They picked two heroes that do that. I mean, maybe there's, with the Slark, this hero will own later on into the game, but I mean, you know my opinion on this Omni. I think it's a pretty rough hero to play in this patch.
Yes.
Most offlaners will probably agree. You play it and it just doesn't feel right. You know, the cooldowns are all so long. It feels like you need a lot to do things, whereas Yang is just running around owning people with very little.
Mission's taken away.
All right, let's see. What do we have here on Ame?
Stuff around mid.
He's working on Diffusal. That is still quite a ways away for him. How has Ori recovered here? He's almost got a force staff. It's a little bit closer than Ame for doing things, but we do spot out Eurus over here with the double damage. Need to be careful. They've got the Ing Swell to open up with the
he got the morph
Impale. Got the morph off though, and the rest of the team is actually so close nearby. I do like the positioning actually of the way that, you know, they're moving together. That seems to be something that's very important. Top lane looks like Slark's going to be able to get out. They end up dropping that Ignus.
It's a big cooldown. You know, that's pretty good. I mean, you're happy as a Slark who... It's quite difficult for you to contribute in this game right now, and to, you know, waste an ulti is pretty nice. Pretty good feeling. We got the bounty runes coming up. So will be a big gold swing either way. Bounty runes worth a lot more than they were before, relatively speaking.
There's a lot less gold on the map. It just keeps happening, right? Looks like James, though, will have to get bailed out by the Omni Knight. 4 heroes on the side of CDEC. He's forcing back. What's Yang doing? Just throwing his weight around here in the top lane. He is a big old bear. Walrus bear?
You really think that Tusk is a bear?
He looks like a walrus bear.
He just looks like a big, cuddly, fat walrus to me, you know?
He looks like a walrus? Have you seen a walrus before, Jenkins? The push back here, knock back, the opening up here, initiation coming out here from Young, but they've got their eyes over onto James and XM. XM is still just alive by the skin of his teeth. A nice soulbind coming out. As they'll take down James earlier, they'll get a nice purification off and take down PYW. Young still alive. I think they just want to wait for this to wear off over on the side. Eurus turning himself into his own Venomancer, trying to fight wards with wards.
Surprised that didn't go better for CDEC, but Vici with the quick, you know, getting out, anti-committal, I want to call it, the quick dip.
The quick dip.
As soon as
I like it.
Yeah, as soon as the Veno drops that ultimate, it's really hard to continue fighting, even with like 2 bracers on Tusk. Like, this guy's got 2,000 HP at this point. There's Tranquil Boots on the OD. So these heroes are, you know, more able than normal to survive this Veno ulti, but it's still rough.
Well, my question now is the fact that the Venomancer, having used everything, basically, is this just the opening now where Vici Gaming can go and gank him?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, I think that's why you dip like that, is because, okay, he pressed the ulti, now it's on cooldown, now it's a really easy fight for us to take. There's also the alternative of just using the fact that he has no ulti to farm the map, because you know that... Oh, Yang tries to hit the shards, doesn't manage. James did go the other way. But you can't just farm the map in this situation, just because you know without the Veno ulti, CDEC is not going to smoke.
Mm-hmm.
And we already talked about the fact that Vici probably has better late game. They're probably more confident in their late game than they are in CDEC's late game, especially with the Slark doing so poorly.
He did just pick up his Diffusal Blade, though, so he is online now. But the problem is that everyone else feels like they've accelerated just a bit more, so it's going to be difficult for him to get something done, unless they can get a good pick off here on PYW. That's definitely a possibility. It does have a Remnant up. Silence gets thrown out immediately. There's going to be the pounce, and he can't get away fast enough, so it's a nice, quick pick off here. But Eurus is nearby, so is DY. If they decide to go here on the Slark, they have that possibility. But look at the side of CDEC. They are all just beelining to this top wave. They say, all right, let's support our Slark. Let's try to maybe take an objective off of this, but don't quite have that wave right now.
Definitely good timing to group around him.
Look at the pings. Look at the pings. The double damage. James picks it up. Serpentine here, Yang. Can you do it? Can you throw him off? He's going to be able to just tippy-tap around him, but can he tippy-tap away from the Slark is the next question. Ignus is down, though. The rest of his team has made their way over here as fast as possible. They drop the hammer, but they don't end up landing it over on the Slark. He's actually going to make it out alive. The rest of the team over here, PYW, Yang, going to be soulbound up. They're not going to be able to do too much, although PYW's mad. He wants something off of this, but a nice impale coming out from James will slow them down as the rest of the side of CDEC just retreat underneath that tower. DY hoping he can get a little lucky with the snipe here, but not this time, my friend.
Surprisingly, Slark did not die to that OD ulti. You would think at this point in the game that your OD has a lot more mana than a Slark, so that int multiplier, that difference, or I should say the mana pool multiplier would be significant enough to kill him, but Slark actually has 735 max mana, and OD only has 1200 at this point, so it's not as big of a difference as you would expect. You know, I think if that was old OD, 100% Slark dies there. But this hero, the multiplier on Sanity's Eclipse, I'm pretty sure it got nerfed about 5 times in a row. So it is no longer the beast that it used to be, and we just saw that effect there.
Look how bold they're playing now on the side of CDEC. It's walking right up, trying to take over the outpost, but getting a bit distracted over here looking at Eurus. Oh, I'm lagging out.
So
there we go. Oh, we opened it up.
Okay.
Yep, they're fighting. They're going back in. They're trying to use that new E-Blade over on the Slark, but they're not able to do it quite fast enough here. Burst him down. He's a bit too tanky.
Bit awkward. I mean, I think if you're Vici, you're pretty okay not fighting around this timing. Your OD needs to be a lot huger in order to deal with this Slark, who's going to be running around with Heavenly Grace on him now. Like, it kind of feels like this hero's unkillable after the last fight. James?
James, yeah, does get spotted out here. He has the Spike Carapace, Walrus Punch, though, plus the E-Blade. And Eurus will collect himself a kill.
You see what I mean with Yang? Just like the mechanics on this dude in this game with the Tusk, just playing around that Carapace. Like, you'd expect him to get stunned by the Carapace there, but he like fakes the punch, debates out the Carapace, and then snowballs, stunning so that directly after he can punch after the Carapace is gone. And it was like flawlessly timed, which, I mean, I know James is going to die either way there, but it is just interesting to see really nice mechanics in Dota, because, you know, a lot of the time that's not actually what wins you games, so it's flashy to see.
A bit of a fight breaking out over here by the outpost. PW throwing out that Remnant. Not going to be able to quite grab anyone. Does manage to grab XM, but again, that Heavenly Grace bailing out the Venomancer. Yeah, I've been a big Yang fan since the Dream League, actually, that they made it from the minor all the way to the major. And they ended up winning. That was the double whammy for V2
Oh,
Gaming.
yeah.
Became a big Yang and PYW fan.
Yeah, that was nuts. That was what kind of like solidified them as being a creme de la creme team, you know? That was when people started really taking Vici seriously, at least this iteration of Vici. There's been strong Vicis in the past, but obviously a completely different team these days. And Yang does have the full BKB completed. So now fighting into this Venomancer, not such a big deal, but you do want the BKB on your Morphling. You want it probably on your OD, although I say that, and your Ori is going for a Moon Shard instead of a BKB. So he's really banking on his team going in and baiting out spells first.
Well, I mean, when Yang's running in there, just full throttle, he's a flaming, you know, giant, whatever you want to call him. It's pretty hard to ignore him, right? He's getting all up in your business. I feel like sometimes, though, these fights with Vici Gaming, and I don't know how much of it is CDEC splitting the fights and how much Vici is just getting distracted by some of these candy kills. But I remember, like, the fight over in mid, we had someone fighting over by the top rune spot, someone fighting over in the middle, and then, of course, 2 people fighting over on the other side here near the bottom rune spot, so they do get a little distracted. They need to be careful.
It's true,
about that.
but I can also understand, like, it's kind of scary for Vici to commit to a full 5-on-5 engagement right now, so I can understand the desire to, like, take these kind of split fights because you're fighting into a Venomancer Omni.
Oh.
And speaking of split fights, Slark is top, CDEC sitting on the high ground.
He did try to go after PYW, but PYW had himself a Remnant up, so he just jumped down, but there was no silence, there was no Grimstroke, there was no stun, so you can't go after PYW.
Yeah, he just slights a fist and pretty easy to get out there unless there's a Nyx that's already sitting on top of him or something along those lines.
I think Ame just got a little bit too far ahead of the rest of his team because that ends up just not being a very productive smoke.
Maybe they were trying to force the Remnant and they were like waiting on the Remnant, but Vici was defending it. I'm not entirely sure. I didn't see exactly where his Remnant was, but it looks like he did Remnant towards his team, so
yeah, his team was waiting right there in the vicinity.
I think maybe they were like defending it. Finally, possibly getting this mid tower. Oh god, XM.
Yeah, there's a lot of damage being thrown out. Alright, they're looking like they want to try to fight this. Vici Gaming moving back, trying to go over to the high ground. And again, like you said, Vici Gaming in a better position to take this game later, so it doesn't feel like they're too bothered by the fact that they're forced off of that tier 1 in the mid.
Yeah, it's force the entirety of CDEC back towards that mid lane. That's one great thing about having that mid tower up is you can always bank on CDEC defending that. You know what I find interesting about Dota these days that's very different from how it was played in the past?
What's
The
that?
fact that people kind of retreat like horizontally instead of vertically. I know that sounds really weird, but like people don't retreat towards their base anymore. They retreat towards like the left and the right high grounds because people realize that high grounds are way more important than towers to defend you. Like you'd much rather fight on a high ground where you can put some vision on one of the eye spots than fighting in one of your towers. Like you don't really care that much about fighting into towers or fighting in your own towers. I mean, unless we're talking high ground, that's a little bit different. But then of course you have your own high ground to play with as well. So it's just cool to see how the game has progressed, where people are a lot smarter about it. Where it's like, okay, maybe our base is like quote unquote safer, but we can take a really good fight if they have this mischance and they have this like lack of vision on our heroes. And once again, just pushing towards the mid lane.
Well, they finished the BKB on Eurus now, so they feel very, very strong. You've got the BKB on Young, too. Obviously, Ori wasn't really feeling like that was super important, especially when you've got these two tankier individuals, right, that are going to be able to kind of front lane. And they have their own BKB, so he's not going to be the biggest target. Slark, though, jumping here over here, top lane. This is what we're talking about. You need to have that silence. You need to slow down PYW, and that's exactly what they do. But they should be able to turn this back around. They've got their eyes over here on the Grimstroke. Slark is just going to dip out. Oh, but he does get found by Eurus, but they don't have another stun at the time.
Yeah, that Grimstroke's just a free kill for Yang. He basically almost one hits the Grimstroke at this point. But Slark kind of seems unkillable, and so does Morphling. It's this weird unkillable carry situation. Ori though is not unkillable, especially with the BKB on Slark.
Nope, he is going to need some help, and they do not have it, unfortunately, for Ori. Does try to get a couple of these clicks off, but there's not much he can do against the BKB. This is really, really turning out nicely here. Slark is getting these pickoffs that he so desperately needs. Sometimes, they end up losing their Grimstroke or whatnot, but this is how you kind of come back on this hero, is you do get these pickoffs, because he's not one that really does well sitting in the jungle.
Yep, and I mean, it's core pickoffs versus support pickoffs too, right? Like Vici just seems to keep getting core or supports.
Immediately dropping the Ignus, trying to bounce people back, but they immediately Delta split. Very nicely done here by CDEC. DY is just TPing out. He knows that he can't be here anymore. They don't want to take this fight. Is just going to get chased down if he's not careful.
What was that punch on? Was that just an Omni illusion? I think it was an Omni illusion.
It was an illusion.
Yeah, they debated that. That was nice. That was really nice from CDEC. I keep wanting to say Royal because SRF has this in his name.
Yeah.
But this is not RNG. Is that a team? Is RNG
we're
still
casting
in
an RNG game.
Oh, cool.
On the 4th day.
It's been so long since I've casted China Dota, actually. Always on that NASA action.
Alright, oh wow.
Slark is right in.
Slark just runs into everyone. He does have the BKB though, he does have the Shadow Dance. Should be able to run away, but Ori here might need a little bit of help. They'll use the E-Blade on him. They'll take the silence off of PYW. That is the BKB dead. Look at Yeg. He is so far in here. He's chasing after this this Omni Knight, but he's finding his opening over here on the Grimstroke. There's going to be BKB coming out from Eurus. They'll be able to go and soulbind them up. They need to move as a group together, but they go and use that Guardians over here. Slark going to be able to stay alive. I don't know if XM will be able to as well, but he does have his own BKB, and on the back lines here, they're trying to just jump after Eurus.
Ooh,
Beautiful stun coming out from James over onto the high ground, landing over onto 3 different people. Ori, he's taking too much damage. He's got to buy himself some more time. James over here on the side is separated from the rest of the teams. Those are nice shards. They drop the hammer. They'll be able to take down James, but that's about it. PYW now just gets chipped away by Ame.
Super nice BKB kiting coming out from CDEC. Like the moment that Tusk and Morph come in with the BKB, they just go full kite mode. They just retreat back to the river, back to the high ground. They pop all of their defensive abilities, and then the reinitiation with the Venomancer BKB. You don't expect to see that. Like I bet you don't even click his inventory to see if he has a damn BKB because I feel like this hero's items, you just know what they're gonna be. It's gonna be like Spirit Vessel, Force Staff, Aghanim Scepter, that sort of thing. You don't expect the BKB, but good lord, did it pay dividends in that fight.
They want to force him out of this pit. It's about halfway done. They still have Ignus if they want to try to drop it. BKBs are off cooldown, though, on the side of CDEC.
Man, I love that ward from the Dire. Do you see that ward that's sitting in the little trees there where you Quelling Blade the tree?
Yep.
And it's so much better than the eye spot, because the eye spot, people always just put a sentry up there to deward that. But this thing, man, you have to walk all the way around to deward this. So it is just such nice vision.
CDEC is out of the Roche pit, but they've smoked up. They ping it out too. They know that they're hiding over in the vicinity.
Yeah, they pinged the. I mean, they took the outpost, so.
But they're also smoked up, so they didn't see them as well. Eurus has to be a little bit careful.
When the outpost is like,
look at this,
just magically changing.
They know. They're like, where's this ward? Why? Where can we find it? But Yang going in immediately. He's trying to take out the Grimstroke, and they'll be able to find it despite that nice force. So they're down one hero.
Poor Grim. He is just getting the short end of the stick in every single fight in this game. It's so rough.
Well, he does a lot though too. You have to keep in mind the fact that you know, he's able to throw out the silence, the soulbind that goes through BKB.
Surprisingly, the soulbind's one of the better disables. It feels like in this game, just
because no one wants to work together.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's hard these days, especially playing online. You know. Actually, these players, would they be in a team house these days?
I don't know. I don't know what the restrictions are. I know, like the South American players, a lot of them can't be in a team house right now because it's like strict lockdown depending on which country they're playing in. But I don't know.
I feel like China's doing better though. Like they you know,
certain regions of it are. I believe they've released some of the lockdown. But bottom lane, they really want this kill on Ame, and they will for sure get it. Dedicating the Ignus,
able to burst
and that's about it.
Tusk does have that Blink Dagger, so now they can get these crucial pickoffs just like that. Let's see, what is Ori going for? Oh, he's finally going for the BKB. That's the right choice, Ori. This is like the classic pub OD build. It's like, guys, I'm going damage.
No, please, guys, please, just buy the BKB. And they're like, no, I don't want to do it. Yeah, I have been in that situation.
He knows, you know, that the last couple of fights have been pretty rough for him not having that BKB, so he's realizing it's time.
I mean, this is just a BKB game in general for everyone involved, it feels, right? Because there's an OD on one side, you've got a Venomancer on the other. It's just really important that you make sure that you're able to do anything during this fest. But Yang, making his way over, does spot out XM.
Jam on Yang, so he could get James.
He's had that for a while now.
I do like the idea of staggering BKBs, though, just because you don't want all of them to run on a low cooldown at the same time. So I'm not trying to make excuses for Ori or something, but I think, you know, I would consider these players obviously high skill enough to make a difficult decision like that, where it's like, okay, if we just all buy BKBs early against this Veno, then the late game Veno is going to destroy us. Whereas if we have one of our cores going for like a later BKB,
YW! Oh, the Yules comes out. He's not going to be able to TP out despite his best try.
He had no remnant either.
He thought when he got spotted out by James, he actually threw out the remnant over to the side, and he thought that he was going to be fine because he had 2 remnants up, but he went back to the last one over there, and the rest of the team was waiting. Mindbreaker pickup now for the side of CDEC. That's very nice.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a support killer right there. I mean, all the cores are going to have BKB, but 2 supports have nothing to take that off.
All right, CDEC smoked up. Making their way into the jungle. Spot out DY. Not going to be able to quite land the pounce. Eurus nearby immediately throws out that E-Blade. Push back. BKB Soulbind coming out as well. And Eurus and Ori, they're just not moving together. Looks like they're going to separate here. Eurus and Yang here fighting with the Slark. They dropped the Ignu, so be able to grab some of these players back. And BKB coming out now from XM. Yang, he's pretty far back from the rest of his team. They'll jump forward. They'll try to get that slow over onto Ori. They'll be able to get it. But the rest of the side of Vici, they just delta split. They know that they no longer have the Coddle ulti. Maybe they can get a pick off here. James, there's the Yules. See, they're trying to get over there. Nice by Carapace plus the Heavenly Grace. Man, how many times has the Slark gotten just E-bladed up? They're going to try to finally get this kill, but they can't. Shards come out. Lock him in. They need to get maybe one more hit. He's got the jump, but here comes the Orb. He'll be able to take him down. The rest of Vici Gaming now know they are Slarkless. as they try to chase after them, find an opening. That force staff, they're going to have the blink up in just another second. James can just land a stun on the back line. So Buyback comes out now from the Slark. They figure, okay, let's turn this back around. We know they don't have some of their bigger team fight ultimates, as now Vici Gaming. Oh, look at that. Nicely done here by Eurus. They just go throughout the Heavenly Grace on the Tusk to make sure that he can get out.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
And James, he's creeping. He wants to find someone to open. But they're set. Look how closely they're playing around the Sentry Ward, too.
Yeah, Eurus has got almost 100% uptime on this Omni Knight now in every fight, so... The Stolen Heavenly Grace has been doing work. That fight, it saved the OD, which kind of made that whole thing possible. I mean, the OD got the killing blow on Slark. Just about the only time that I've seen Enchanted Quiver do anything in a Dota game is that hit did plus 300 damage. He was actually totally out of mana, so the pure damage was basically nothing from the Arcane Orb on that hit. But that was the Enchanted Quiver. You saw like the plus 300 purple damage. That was the Quiver killing the Slark there. Very sad. Into the buyback.
Into the buyback. For sure.
Just
Alright,
rough.
there we go. There we go, Ori. BKB completed now for the OD. The next fight that CDEC takes, if it's a 5v5, is going to be very, very difficult. I wouldn't be surprised to see them go for a smoke play here, since they did just pick up the fresh BKB and Ori. Might be the time to surprise them. But nope, they'll walk right over into the mid lane.
Possibly just walk into Roche. Maybe they feel strong enough to do that.
These missed chances on that play, Gord.
Oh, so annoying.
So annoying. Yeah.
The Eurus is killing some wards, scouting some high grounds.
CDEC is doing very, very well. They're just moving around the map and having them chase them the entire time. So Eve Light, oh, look how much damage it goes onto the Slark this time around. Eurus, though, waiting for that Shadow Dance to wear off. The silence will get thrown out. But oh, look who's here, Mr. Yang himself. BKB comes out. They'll have to go and drop that Ignis. They'll be able to take down the Slark. They'll turn their attention now over onto SRF. I don't think they're going to be able to do enough damage, but they've managed to grab someone over here on the side. It is not going to be a good day for this Grimstroke if it wasn't already. In the bottom lane, PYW poking away over here at James, but has a spike there. He is, and there's a clumsy net thrown out. How did he get down here so fast? He just TP'd to that tower?
Yeah, with spider legs too, he's very quick.
Good God.
And blink too. Man, in that fight, Eurus, I know it's kind of a small thing, but Eurus stole the pounce from Slark, and not only did he use it like 3 or 4 times in that fight, but God, the Omni was TPing out, but Eurus just had like a fraction of a second left on the Grimstroke ulti. So even though he had stolen the pounce and had it off cooldown, which could have interrupted the Omni TP, the dead Grimstroke's ulti that was still on him prevented that and saved the Omni. It's just such a silly interaction that you don't normally see. XM? Dude, your whole team's dead.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he's thinking here, because in comes Big Boy Yang, forced to pop the BKB. Can he get there in time? Is he gonna have it? The Walrus Punch comes out, and that's a dead little Venomancer. Oh, and, okay, I guess he had done enough damage to PYW, so does get a kill off of it, but no experience gained for that, and he's now dead for 65 seconds. This is Vici Gaming's time to take an objective.
Yeah, during that time, Vici also took the Roche on. Eurus did manage to pick that up. It's funny to see the itemization on Vici. I think the neutral items that they're playing with, it's just really interesting. Like they're doing a lot better with these. More interesting stuff than I see other teams. Like Ori's got the Enchanted Quiver and the Grove Bow, so he's switching those out depending on what's on cooldown. Eurus is playing with the Nether Shawl. Like, would you expect that on a core?
No, that's definitely a support item.
Yeah, but you know, against Venomancer, that magic resist is really good, and the 8% spell amp, when he is doing tons of magic damage, it makes sense. And on Yang, he's playing with the spider legs, and then he'll use that to get around, and then in the fights, he's putting the Craggy Coat in his inventory. So, just really cool. It's just not stuff you see from other teams. Like, these guys are really tryharding with the neutral items, and, you know, usually the sweatier, more tryhard team wins in Dota 2.
It's interesting just to see how active that they're being and mindful about those items, like you said. That's something I actually had not noticed, so very cool to see happen and put into action, for sure.
A lot of teams just don't, because it's kind of annoying. It's like tedious to deal with, but you know, really when you think about it, there's a lot of neutral items you can just backpack and use occasionally.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
I think the most I've seen is usually like the shovel,
The shovel,
being on cooldown,
yeah.
like alternating with maybe like a Philosopher's Stone or whatever.
Yeah, it's usually like the support who's on board duty is just like, don't worry guys, I'll occasionally get us bounty runes. Good
Hey,
job,
gold is
support.
at a premium right now. There's very hard to get that if you're a support. So
Excuse me, sir, please salve me with your shovel.
With your
Support's no
shovel.
talking, just salves. Just salves, okay?
Radiant's top
all right,
tower
high
is
ground
under
push
attack.
coming up.
Dire's structures
You're straight front and
are
center. You have to be so
fortified.
careful because Yang, you know, the second he finds an opening, he's blinking forward. He's giving you the old punch and whatnot.
Dire's
And
bottom
it's just so
tower
hard for them
has
to come forward.
fallen.
What is this Venomancer gonna do, you know? Alright, he's gonna jump in like that and immediately get just walrus punched up as they drop the Ignis. He'll be able to just eradicate James so quickly. BKB is coming out. Yura's turning himself into his own Omni Knight here. He's just gonna back off, go right back for the Srax. Being very, very disciplined on the side of Vici Gaming. Most teams would have probably gone for a bit of a dive there.
The armor have omniscience.
These
Venom
Omni
ulti
Knight
is
spells
down
are
now.
so good to steal if you're Eurus.
Oh yeah.
Walks right up into the Slark. Does not matter. And they drop the hammer. BKB comes out afterwards, but he's just one dead little fishy.
And now we get to the late game OD, where he's a real problem. And once again, this is why I think it's cool what they did with him not buying a BKB. I know we were memeing it up a lot earlier, but he looks really strong right now, and that's because he was just playing with a 10-second BKB charge. So he's able to go in and kill the Nyx like that with that BKB, which results in the Slark dying because there's no Nyx to save him. So that's a free Rax because of their item choices. Like it all actually panned out.
Is that just like a confidence play, do you think? The fact, because like that's a very high risk, high reward. You have to ensure that, you know, the rest of your team, oh boy, SRF, woof, that's a lot of damage being thrown out on this boy here. Chakra Magic coming out. Look at the way that Eurus just keeps flipping between that Omni Knight, being able to take the Heavenly Grace, jumps back forward. There's the Guardians being thrown out again on the back line, so BKB coming out. The jump forward again from XM. He manages to get the ultimate off, but they have the BKBs. They don't care about this right now. Although, subsequently, I don't think XM really cares too much about what the OD is doing either. But they'll take the tower, and again, they walk away. Force staffing Eurus forward. Trying to keep them out. Young does take a little bit more damage here. He'll use the snowball, wait out some of the ticks, go over to the camp and blink forward. Man,
Cool.
Vici looks
That was cool.
nice.
Yeah, that was really cool. I just
He's
love what they're
styling
doing.
on him, man.
Yeah, I think they're playing some really high level Dota. I love matches like this. It's all the little small things that really add up. Like once again, going back to your question about the BKB, it's definitely a confidence thing. I mean, this is something that you have to be confident in your teammates' ability to protect you. You have to be confident in your teammates' ability to do well without you having a BKB in the early game. And it's something also you have to experiment with, where like in the past, you're playing against a Venomancer and you went all for early BKBs, and all of a sudden at this point, we can see on the Tusk and the Morphling, the Venom ulti is doing a lot of damage. Why? Because their BKBs are low cooldown. They're low duration. Whereas with Ori, he doesn't care about that. So it really shows Vici's experience as a team, and it makes them unstoppable in this power spike, to use a buzzword, typical caster buzzword. This spike is like there's no way for CDEC to currently deal with it because of that interesting choice that they made with the itemization. Once again, I would not make these choices in pubs. Like you can exclusively do this with 4 players that you're playing on a team with. Otherwise, like you cannot trust your team to make this like executive decision. But in this game, obviously, it is very much so paying off.
It's one of those things too where you trust your teammates. It's something I think Lizard talks a lot about it. The fact that you have these different power spikes. One lane might suffer a little bit more, but then you're like, okay, my lane's going to suffer, but I know that my team's going to be able to carry me through until I can get this item. And
Exactly.
it's very. Look at Ori. Oh my God, he just sits there, gives him a little tap. In comes Eurus, and they just take
89
care of that
seconds, he's dead
Slark. He's
again.
gone. Just a patient wait here. They'll be able to go hold down James. Oh,
Venom
XM. That's the Venom ulti, and it didn't hit enough people. Ignis gets dropped here by DY. They force down here over onto SRF. It's going to get dragged back, but they're just going to outweight this Venom ulti, and they know they can go right back in. Slark's down for still another 60.
I mean, he does have the Ags on Veno though, so it's very low cooldown. this ulti. He does have it up in 30 seconds again. So just kind of trying to buy time for the Slark. Both teams playing some very high-skill Dota here. Really interesting decisions. You know, in NASA, sometimes you'll see some big blunders, but we have yet to see one in this game. Both of these teams playing incredibly well.
You love to see it.
Yeah, it's good Dota. I love this shit. This is good stuff. Very, very disciplined. That's the word that I want to use. Is just so disciplined from both teams.
So do you think at this point you're Vici gaming, you're just pushing these waves, you wait for the next Roche to come up?
I think that's pretty fair. I mean, yeah, you can definitely bank on a pretty easy high ground push when you have that Aegis against the Venomancer and the Grimstroke ulti and the Sark, even like the Sark ulti and the Sark BKB. Like there are these things that you want to be on cooldown, and you can use the Aegis to kind of force these things on cooldown and then fight with your BKBs when you respawn. So it does seem like a really nice way to play the high ground push. Although, man, if you're Vici, you're so comfortable in this game with a Morphling OD in the late game. OD's got his sheep too, so they're looking to make this sheep reveal a big pick-off.
They already used it. They did use it on the Slark
did?
earlier, and they got the pick-off on him.
Oh, I
Eurus
see,
was nearby.
okay. So they're just smoking up to... you know, they kind of... Yeah, they like let CDEC out of their base, and then they smoke up to kind of like, okay, now it's time to play cat and mouse.
Well, to be fair, it does feel like CDEC is mousing very well.
Yeah, they are. They are mousing pretty nicely.
But just you have to be so careful of your Ame here because he's gotten picked off earlier, depending on who's in the... Yeah, look at this. Jump forward here, coming out from James. They're hoping that they can take down Ori. BKB comes out. Nice snowball save coming out from Yang. They'll turn this right back around again. That's coming out. Ori backing out. Young, he's gonna need some help, but DY's there. He's got this Ignis. He's grabs 4 people in it. It's beautiful. As now XM, he's forced to pop his own BKB. He wants to take down the Ignis, but they have to retreat.
I love Flicker as an item. This is like my favorite item to play with in the game. So many people are like, "Oh, this is a garbage item," but man, it's a 4-second cooldown purge, and you can use it to, like we saw there. Yang tried to blink to the low ground, but it just blinked him like right into a corner, which is not great. But it did dispel some things, like it dispelled the Gale that was on him, and maybe like one other ability. So pretty nice.
Well, just thank God DY was nearby to drop the Ignis, because otherwise
Yeah.
I think that goes a lot differently, especially when you catch 4 people in it. This double damage morph, he's like, where's this Roche? He wants it. It's going to be another minute and 15, though, so...
Plus 400 damage. Are you kidding me, Ice Frog?
He's a big
What
boy.
is this hero in the late game?
Well, to be fair, he does have a double damage.
I know. I'm just saying, this base damage is nuts. I mean, even without, it's like 326 base damage.
It is a lot, yes. Oh, they find an opening. They just delete the Slark. There is no Slark. He immediately buys back. BKBs get used over here as they take off that silence. James is going to be next to fall, and now they're chasing after SRF. Oh, no. XM, you are all alone, my friend. They have a walrus, but you're not going home. Oh, wow. What awesome decision-making coming out from Vici Gaming here. That went from 0 to 100 so fast.
Yeah, they have some insane burst between the... I mean, all 3 of the cores on Vici, honestly, have, like, ridiculous burst. But the Tusk getting the crucial punches, that's the important thing, is that he's able to punch the Slark before he BKBs or presses ulti, or... I mean, even presses the Purge. Like, Yang is 100% on top of things this game.
He's definitely the MVP for me watching this, personally.
Yeah, I mean, you were hyping him up before, and I was thinking, you know what? How could this guy be that good? And, I mean, he's a god. He's a god amongst men. A beautiful golden god. He's playing extremely well.
Right.
Here's the thing. Okay, number 1, the guy's 7-0-18. Yeah, he literally hasn't died once, but he's the dude who's starting every friggin' engagement. How do you simultaneously be the frontline tank initiator and then never die?
You push your buttons real good. That's what you do when you have a very good team to back you up.
You be a god. That's it. Now, I gotta say, DY's been doing some...
Ugh, he's such an
saving.
off laner.
I'm definitely showing my offlane bias here.
Yeah, you
though,
definitely
actually.
are.
I
It's
think-
not that, DY has been like right in the corner trying to save him each time, or that, Eurus has been able to morph himself into the Omni Knight, get off
You know
Heavenly
what?
Grace to protect him.
No,
PYW.
no,
it's
whatever.
the Yang show.
He's
Yang
a
gang.
carry player. He got free farm. He got spoon fed. He's a big baby. He can do. Yang didn't have free farm. He had to work for his money. DY, this guy, he's basically just buying wards. Yang though, he came from nothing and he's doing this. It's the true.
The rags to riches Dota story.
It is. Not offlane bias whatsoever.
No, not at all. What you doing over here, little Slarky? Oh man, he's been trying to get this Ag Scepter, it feels like, for the last 5 minutes. This poor Slark. Does have it though now, so.
Doesn't feel like it's going to be a huge game changer at this point. I kind of feel like the items that would be a big game changer for him are like Abyssal,
No
Rapier.
sorceries
I really don't feel like the Ags is... The Ags is really good when you have a lead, when you can just chase people down with the double pounces. But I feel like if you have 2 pounces in your Vici, you're just like, okay, come at me. You have 2 ways of jumping into us and dying now.
Yeah.
Like, we relish this opportunity, please. Dude, Yang's going for an Abyssal. He's got Basher. He's got the 12% Walrus chance punch.
Eurus maybe getting a little bit debated here. They'll go the Pop Link. He's been able to go and morph just over to the side. The rest of the team is making his way over. He's so tanky. Look at this. Look at this. They had this perfect opportunity to get the kill on Eurus, and they just can't manage to do it. He's too tanky.
Ooh, the Grimstroke Illusion.
It does a lot of damage.
That's a nice Aghanim Scepter to get in this game. I gotta say, speaking of game-changing items, that is actually one of them. I think that is way more game-changing than like the Slark Ags, and that's a carry Ags, This
you don't get to see it very often on Grimstrokes.
No, you really don't. So it's gonna come in handy for sure, and he's almost got his sheep stick as well. Somehow Grimstroke has been farming.
Ame gets dragged back. They don't have the follow-up though to stun him. James still standing nearby. They can't get there fast enough. The Slark is free, but that is his BKB that got used.
Very close to Ori getting the sheep off there. Slark basically timed that perfectly to get the TP off right as the BKB and Shadow Dance ended. But now those 2 things are on cooldown for 40 seconds. This gives Vici an opportunity to poke away at the high ground, maybe look for a pickoff.
Oh, like that? Like Mr. James on the Nyx Assassin?
I did not expect that. DY?
Yeah, he just stayed a little bit too long. I'm not sure what he was doing over in that corner of the jungle, but James
He
seeing
must have
this
been low
opportunity.
HP. Because it's not like James does a lot of damage on his own. I mean, I guess the mana burn's not that bad at this point. 4-second cooldown. Interesting pickoff. You would not expect that at this 51 minutes into the game.
Nope,
Nick's
you definitely wouldn't.
solo kill. He's no damage items either. I guess
It's
it
like
is a coddle.
Slark's trying to go for a satanic here. Do you like that, or would you rather see the Abyssal?
I like the Satanic. I think Satanic's pretty good as well.
Okay.
I mean, just more status resist to pair with the Heavenly Grace, and it's something that can help him sustain throughout these fights. So that way, if they do survive the burst, he can maybe get like a crap load of stacks and run down mid and try to end the game or something like. Although, I'm not entirely sure if you do want to take these extended engagements against like an OD who's going to be getting tons of arcane overstacks, but. We'll see. I mean, he definitely needs something that's like pseudo defensive, because he is just dying every time. So like raw HP feels kind of right,
But Vici Gaming playing very disciplined, just sitting back. They do have an Aegis. I'm just waiting for them to misstep, it seems.
It's at this point where if you're CDEC, you would kind of like to have a good rapier hero, because I mean, we've seen it so many times casting together. Like you can have this 24k gold lead, and one team picks up a rapier, their effective net worth all of a sudden becomes even though it's a 6,000 gold item. Like the cost is that this thing drops when you die. So if you can keep it in your inventory, then it's worth a lot more than just 6,000 gold,
Radiant are
basically.
scanning.
But Slark is not really one of those heroes. Like he functions based off of getting, stealing stats and taking these long-term engagements. So it does feel kind of bad. You'd love to have like some gyro or PA or something like that on your team at this point.
Yeah. I think it's also difficult because the rest of his team has a difficult time getting into the fight to even save him or assist him half the time. I feel like XM just kind of suicide bombers in, right? Jumps forward, opens it up, and then the rest of the team is kind of scrambling to get in. But the Grimstroke, he's just paper. He just crumples so easily. Slark can be jumping, like look at this. Look how far he's jumped away from his team. The rest of the team, they're not there yet. And they'll turn this right back around. The BKB coming out from Ori. He's going to turn his attention now over to James. Looks like they're going to try to get him as a quick pickoff. It'll be thrown up into the air a little bit longer, but big ol' punch coming out from Yang. And they'll just get rid of the Nyx Assassin quite easily. Yang, he's still hunting. It's going to be the Remnant forward coming out from PYW. They just can't seem to quite catch him. I don't know. I don't feel like Yang wants to go for it. Does have that Blink Snowball coming forward. It'll take his attention now over to the Grimstroke. Heavenly Grace is only going to go so far, my friend. You are going to take it down. BKB coming out from Eurus. Slark jumps right in there along with XM. The rest of the team needs to get there. Oh, over on the back lines, and look at Ori he drops a hammer, he takes down XM, and now the Slark, he's looking for anything that he can get. PYW taking a lot of damage. The Pound jumping forward. Ame will be able to go collect himself that kill. Snowballing forward, Eurus using those spider legs. He wants to get out of here. Looks like he's going to be able to run out. DY as well. Just running away. Yang's here, doesn't have the shards to block just yet. They're really chasing hard on this. Yeah, the jump forward here coming out from James. It's nice. Can they take down Yang? There's going to be another buyback. Ember joining into the fight. They turn back around because over on the back lines, Ori, he's here. He's got a bunch of this damage, but they're just separated off to the side. It'll be an Astro buying a little bit more time. James is going to have to buy himself again. More time. BKBs are back up. They take down the Grimstroke. Now XM, he's going to go down for the second time. It's a double kill. As now Slark and SRF running the heck out. They want nothing to do with this. Need to go home. If Slark gets taken down again, that will be his dieback. Oh no, he's got to app back again. Never mind.
There's no way to fight without your supports, though. I mean, this is looking like game.
I would say so.
Slark, getting a pickoff's a pickoff.
All right,
I guess.
No, he's not even going to be able to find it. And yeah, look at this. Vici Gaming. They're done with this game.
Really cool play from Ori in that fight, where he had the BKB up, but he chooses to Astral himself, and that jebaited about half of CDEC.
Okay, they're still going to try to go in for the fight. They'll fight against Yang.
No way.
He's too big, too tanky. But I do like it. I like this never give up kind of attitude. Ori, yes, be careful. Has to turn around. Don't hit the buildings, Ori.
Radiant's middle tower has
they just straight thrown. Oh, they're going for the dives.
No. Yeah, the GG does get called, but yeah, they are going in for the dives. Can they get one more kill under their belt? Yeah, they'll be able to take down Slark and then take the Ancient.
And Yang did not die once in that game.
God.
What a legend. What a legend. You can't say that in Dota though, because legend players, that's like 3K, So that's like an insult to some people.
What, an immortal player? Literally immortal, right? He didn't die at all.
Yeah. True. That's true. His badge definitely makes a lot of sense for him now. Yeah, that was, just really stellar play from Vici. They were doing a lot of really try-hard, stellar things to get like a slight edge. And, a slight edge in Dota is very different from like a slight edge in some, I don't know, crappier game like Valorant, let's say.